we're going to do field day this year the same as we did field day last year. For those of you who didn't participate um, or want to participate more fully this year, this little discussion is going to kind of get you started with things that you need to think about. And then next month, there will be a more full presentation with more details. But let's just jump into it. So field day is the 26th and 27th. It goes from 1 o'clock on Saturday, the 26th, through 1 o'clock the next day on Sunday, the 27th. You can start setting up a day in advance. So Friday, June the 25th, you can start at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You aren't allowed to set up for more than 12 hours during that 24-hour period leading up to field day. Can't imagine anybody that would need 12 hours to set up for field day. But anyway, you got it if you need it. The biggest news this year is that Bill Jorgensen is going to allow us to run 2 stations out of the EOC. Ed has said that you need to be fully immunized against COVID in order to participate in this. And he has not made a decision on how people will be scheduled. So it could be that I put out a sign-up sheet and whoever signs up for the slots, first come, first serve. It could be that. But in the past, I think we've tried to be a little more, careful about, maybe having an experienced ham pair up with someone who's new to HF, that kind of thing. So Ed hasn't said how he wants to handle the scheduling of that. So it's to be determined. But we are going to have a sideband station running in the Auxcom room, and then we'll use the media briefing room for a CW station, same as we've done in the, 4 or 5 years that we've been at the EOC. That's kind of exciting. That's more than exciting. It's fantastic. Rule changes. We got the same rules that we had for 2020, which is that home stations can contact other home stations, and that as individuals, we can submit our scores, our logs, but we can also specify a club name. So we can put in the WCARES, name, and all of our scores will aggregate for a club score, and then we can see how we do against other clubs. The only actual brand new rule for 2021 is just that home stations are limited to 150 watts. So you can't flip on that amplifier. There's only one person that's actually online in this meeting right now that would affect. And I think most of us know who that is. And I'm not even going to say his name, Jack Cox. So you got a lot of things to decide. Where are you going to operate? What are you going to use for power? What class do you want to run under? And we'll talk about that in just a second. What radio gear do you want to use? What antennas? And of course, the bands that you choose to operate are, you're limited by the antenna choices. So if you want to work 160 meters, you're going to have an antenna for 160 meters. You may decide just to work 40 meters or 20 and 40 and be done with it. That's great. But you may need multiple antennas if you want to be ambitious and work a lot of bands. Of course, your mode, you might just want to run sideband, but you might want to do digital too, or CW. So those kind of choices are going to determine the gear that you need. You want to run digital, you got to use a computer, obviously, to generate that. So if you're trying to run that on battery power, if you're trying to run 5 watts on battery power to maximize your points, you're going to have a power source that's going to let you, run digital for hours. So lots to think about. Logging method. Most of us are going to be using the N3FJP software that we've used forever, and it's really neat. You don't have to use that, but they make it really easy, and it's only $8 to buy that software if you don't already have it. You also need to decide whether you want to participate in the WCARES.live real-time scoring that N3FJP provides us. And also, we do have that chat room using the discord.com or Discord app so that we can all chat with each other in real time. That's a lot of fun, and I recommend that. There'll be more on that next month on how to configure that. But it's the same configuration that we've used for last summer's field day and winter field day that we ran 5 months ago. By the way, there's still no scores for winter field day. The guy that was going to be taking in these scores had cataract surgery back in April and put out a Facebook post that said due to medical issues, his cataract surgery, he hasn't had time to compile the 2,000 plus logs that he got. So we still don't know here in May how we came out in January's winter field day, but I'm hoping we did well, and we'll find that out soon. Last thing here is whether you want to maximize your points or not. There's a lot of ways for you to get a big score. But to do that means you've got to place some limitations on yourself, running 5 watts, for example, and running off battery power. And there's a lot of other ways to earn bonus points that I'm not going to go into this time. Let's see here. Scoring. So your total score for the contest, and they say it's not a contest, but I think we all know better. They are keeping score, and so, what Tim Kreth calls it a competition. It's not a contest, it's a competition. I like that. So your score is your total QSO points times your power multiplier plus any bonus points that you get. So your QSO points, you get 1 point for every sideband contact, and you get 2 points for every CW or digital contact. As far as the power multiplier goes, if you are transmitting using only battery power and 5 watts or less, you can multiply your score by 5. So that's a huge advantage there. If you're transmitting more than 150 watts, and I wrote sad trombone sound there because I hope nobody does that since it is field day and we're trying to sort of, pretend that we're out in the field doing an emergency exercise. Transmitting more than 150 watts gets you no multiplier. Basically, your score is whatever your QSO points are. For everybody else, for people running 100 watts or not running on batteries, that kind of thing, it's a 2x multiplier. So you can double your score that way. Lots of ways to earn bonus points. I'm not even going to list them all here, but you can, you can submit a press release. You can have a table with ARRL stuff on it for anybody who stops by. You can set up in a public area. There's lots of ways to earn bonus points. And if you really want to try to maximize your score, you can go all out and do that sort of stuff. Classes. So there are a number of classes. And when you are transmitting on field day, you're going to exchange your call sign and then a class and section. The section is just simply Tennessee, TN, right? Tango November. The class, though, are one of these 8 things that I'm about to tell you about. They're the same as they have been every year, but Class A, starting in the upper left-hand corner here. So for Class A, that is 3 or more people, typically like a club, but it could be 3, guys just getting together. 3 or more people located in a place that's not a normal ham station, can't use any ham station already, permanently installed equipment. And you got to be running on something other than commercial power. In other words, batteries or a generator. That's Class A. Class A battery is the same as Class A, except that you are limiting yourself to 5 watts or less, and you're running off battery power. So you can't run off a generator to be Class A battery. Right-hand side of the screen, sort of the same thing. Class B is 1 or maximum of 2 people set up for a field day, located somewhere that's not a normal ham station, can't use permanently installed equipment, so you can't just go out to your backyard and tap into your antenna. You got to be using something other than commercial power. Class B battery, same thing. You've got to run 5 watts or less, and you can't use a generator. You can just use battery power or solar power that way. The other class is Class C is a mobile, so you can go run the whole thing out of your car or boat or airplane. But the little thing here, second bullet point says that you don't get the 5X emergency power thing for using a generator because or for not using a generator because your car is actually a motor-driven generator. Class D, that's a home station. If you don't want to do anything different, don't want to go out in the field, do anything special, just operating out of your shack at home, that's a Class D station. Class E is working out of your home, but running on emergency power instead of the commercial grid. And then finally, Class F is the Emergency Operations Center, which is what our public safety building, our EOC, is for us. That's that. Next month, I'll have a more detailed presentation about this stuff, but I wanted to talk about it briefly today because that'll give you a month to think about how you want to do this. Next month's meeting is 1 week from field day. And even though you should technically be able to just not even think about field day until the week before and then still set up everything and be good. After all, we are an Aries group. It's still good to have some time to think about what you might want to do because, there are a lot of things to think about, as I said earlier. So be thinking about how you're going to want to participate in this, how fully you're going to want to participate. Go to the NRRL website, read the rules. I think it's like 6 or 7 pages in a PDF, but check that out. There's some, nuance there that we'll cover next month, but that's good to read now. As soon as Ed decides how he wants to handle the scheduling for those 2 stations at the EOC, I'll publish that in an email. If it's opened up for everybody to sign up for it, I'll create a Google Doc or Google form and send the link out to that like we've done in the last 5 years. Look for a comprehensive field day email from me in early June. It'll be a tweaked version of the same email that you got last summer for field day and that you got back in January for winter field day, that will just tell you how to configure N3FJP for the WCARES.live website and how to configure the Discord app and give you more information about everything else. The next, on the monthly meeting, the next time, I'm going to be flying back from being on vacation. So I'm going to pre-record my video for that and give it to somebody to play back. I won't be home until later that day, but there will be a presentation video that gets played. And I guess that's about it. So I'm going to stop sharing. Oh, I guess I do have one more slide that's just, if you have any questions about this stuff, as always, you can shoot me an email to what looks like batsoncliff@gmail.com, or you can give me a call. There's my phone number. So don't be a stranger if you have questions about this stuff. Just let me know.